What if I told you that overthinking is slowly stealing your life? It doesn't matter how smart, driven, or ambitious you are, if your mind is trapped in endless loops of anxiety, stress, and second-guessing. You're not living, you're merely surviving. Here's the twist. The very thoughts you think are helping you stay in control are actually holding you hostage. Sound familiar? Maybe you've felt the weight of unresolved problems stacking up in your mind, or caught yourself obsessing over every decision. Afraid of making the wrong move? But here's the truth. Freedom doesn't come from solving everything. It comes from learning to let go, and that's where the magic happens. Now, before you dismiss the idea of being present as a cliché, let me ask you this. How much of your time is spent replaying the past or fearing the future? How often do you feel stuck in your own head, missing the moment right in front of you? The good news is, breaking free isn't about overhauling your entire life. It's about understanding the roots of your anxiety and building habits, like mindfulness, self-awareness, and purposeful reflection that bring you back to the now. And honestly, it's easier than you think. So, if you're ready to stop wasting time, embrace life's fleeting nature, and discover the peace of mind you've been chasing, you're in the right place. Let's unpack what's holding you back and, more importantly, how you can reclaim control. Because once you learn to stop overthinking, you'll finally start living. Anxiety has quietly become the emotional backdrop of the 21st century. It's like that overly needy friend who refuses to leave your side. The constant hum of unease, the tightness in your chest. These are signs that your mind is on overdrive, torn between endless to-do lists and self-imposed expectations. A crucial distinction here is understanding that anxiety and stress are not the same. Stress arises when two desires pull you in opposite directions, like wanting to relax but feeling guilty for not working, or loving your job but hating the office politics. Anxiety, on the other hand, is that lingering stress that lurks even when there's no clear reason for it, kind of like a song on repeat that you didn't even like in the first place. So, how do you stop this vicious cycle? First, recognize what's causing your stress. For example, the next time you feel like the walls are closing in, pause. Ask yourself, what conflicting desires am I juggling right now? Maybe it's wanting to spend more time with your family, but also chasing that next promotion. Once you identify the conflict, try this. Write it down. Use journaling to make sense of those tangled thoughts, because sometimes clarity comes when we see our problems outside of our heads. One tip. Treat it like a running conversation with your mind, rather than a formal essay. Keep it light, human, and honest. But what about the deeper, more pervasive anxiety? The kind that bubbles up for no apparent reason. This usually stems from unresolved problems stacked so high in your subconscious that they're practically skyscrapers. The trick is to tackle them one at a time. Use small daily rituals, like a few minutes of mindfulness meditation, to press pause on your mental chaos. Picture it like decluttering your brain, clearing shelf by shelf, instead of trying to move the whole mountain at once. The beauty of these practices isn't just that they calm the mind, they also serve as breadcrumbs that guide you toward the presence we all crave. And that brings us to the heart of our next topic. Let's face it, most of us spend our lives anywhere but the present moment. We're either stuck replaying past regrets like a bad movie, or fast-forwarding to an imaginary future that feels just out of reach. But here's the thing, the only moment that truly matters is the one happening right now. If your mind is off worrying about an email you haven't sent or a mistake you made 5 years ago, you're living in borrowed time. Think about it. How many moments have you let slip away simply because you weren't there for them? That's the real definition of wasted time, being physically present but mentally absent. So, how do you reclaim these fleeting moments? It starts with noticing when your mind is wandering. The next time you're watching the sunset, don't scroll through Instagram searching for a hashtag sunset better than yours. Instead, focus on how the sky is painted in shades you can't put into words. Feel the breeze on your skin. Breathe. Simple, right? Yet, so few of us actually do this. Being present isn't about a complete life overhaul. It's about sprinkling mindfulness into your everyday, like savoring your coffee instead of gulping it down while answering emails. But here's the twist. Being present isn't just about enjoying the good stuff. It's also about fully experiencing the hard moments, the stress, the anxiety, the discomfort. Why? Because those are the times when you grow. You can't shortcut your way to fulfillment by tuning out every time life gets hard. And the truth is, when you're truly present, even the tough moments carry meaning. After all, every second you're distracted by your rushing thoughts is a second stolen from your life. And isn't life too brief for that? Death, just hearing the word, can make people uncomfortable. But what if it could set you free? Most of us avoid thinking about our mortality, burying ourselves in distractions, rather than facing the inescapable reality. One day, we all come to an end. Yet reflecting on death isn't morbid, it's clarifying. It reminds us that all the stress, overthinking, and petty worries we carry are no match for life's fleeting nature. As Naval Ravikant said, it all goes to zero. With that in mind, ask yourself, what's truly worth your energy? Spoiler, it's not your fear of how others perceive you. Far from being paralyzing, contemplating death can help you prioritize what matters. For instance, instead of worrying about climbing the corporate ladder, you could focus on strengthening relationships or exploring things that bring genuine fulfillment. Life feels lighter when you remember it's not infinite. A simple exercise: write down how you'd spend your last day if you knew time was running out. Chances are, you'd ditch the fluff, the overthinking, paranoia, and endless decision-making in favor of being fully here for the moment. And here's the beautiful irony. Thinking about death teaches you how to live. It nudges you to let go of unresolved problems and conflicting desires, encouraging you to savor sensory experiences you might otherwise overlook. The warmth of the sun, the laughter of a child, the peace found in stillness. When you stop clinging to permanence, you make room for presence and authenticity. And from that place of clarity, it becomes clear how much living authentically matters. Which is exactly where we're heading next. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, whose life am I really living? For so many of us, the answer isn't straightforward. We chase goals that society has laid out for us, follow paths others expect us to take, and end up feeling disconnected. But here's the truth. A life lived authentically is the only life worth living. Authenticity doesn't mean throwing responsibility out the window. It means figuring out what really matters to you, what fuels your soul, what sparks your curiosity. If you don't explore those questions, you risk living someone else's narrative and calling it your own. The catch: living authentically isn't easy. It requires courage. For example, say you've spent years in a career just because it looked good on paper. Taking the leap into something that actually excites you might feel selfish or even foolish. But here's the thing: being unapologetically you doesn't make you selfish. It makes you free. Start small. Make a list of the things you'd do if no one were watching. Or take 15 minutes a day to explore a hobby or interest that lights you up. Every little step builds momentum toward greater fulfillment. When you embrace who you are at your core, life's big questions, like the meaning of life or why we're here, start to feel less daunting. You begin to see that purpose isn't some grand external achievement, but a collection of moments that feel real and right for you. And as you start aligning with that, something magical happens. You become more aware of the patterns in your life, more in tune with the consciousness that underpins it all. And isn't that the foundation of true self-awareness? Here's a mind-bending truth. Everything you've ever experienced, every thought, emotion, or memory, has unfolded within the bounds of your consciousness. It's like the stage where life's play happens, but most of us spend our days focusing on the actor's events rather than the stage itself. Consciousness isn't just a concept for philosophers or monks. It's the foundation of your existence. But how often do you stop to observe your own mind? A little self-awareness can go a long way in changing how you live, yet most of us stay on autopilot, caught in patterns without even realizing it. The good news: self-observation is a skill you can develop, and it doesn't require hours sitting cross-legged on a mountaintop unless that's your thing. Start by practicing small moments of mindfulness. For example, when you feel stressed or anxious, instead of reacting, pause. Notice what's going on in your mind. Are there unresolved problems tugging at you, or is it just leftover tension from earlier in the day? This kind of curiosity about your inner world can help you uncover patterns that hold you back, like recurring fears or wishful thinking that clouds your judgment. But why does all of this matter? Because once you start observing yourself, you stop identifying with every fleeting thought or emotion. You realize you're not your stress, your worries, or even your fragile personality. You're the awareness behind it all, the constant through life's ups and downs. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. The more you tune into this awareness, the easier it becomes to make decisions you truly align with. Speaking of decisions, let's explore how intuition plays an unexpected role in that process. Ever had a moment when your gut just knew what to do before your mind could catch up? That's intuition, a finely tuned radar built through experience, insights, and time. While your rational mind is great at solving problems with clear edges and defined steps, it often falters when faced with life's messy, hard decisions. And that's where intuition steps in. It's like an unspoken whisper that connects all your past learnings and sensory experiences to guide you. But here's the kicker. Your gut instinct needs trust. If you constantly second-guess it, you'll find yourself stuck in a loop of overthinking. So how do you make the most of this hidden power? Start by combining your head and your gut. Let your mind explore the pros and cons of a decision. Run the numbers if necessary, but don't stop there. Once you've mapped out the logical aspects, give it time to sit, sleep on it, take walks, or engage in something completely unrelated. You'll often find that clarity arrives in still moments, not when you're desperately searching for it. For instance, a decision about ending a relationship, switching careers, or even making a major purchase often feels right in your gut before your head can rationalize it. Of course, intuition isn't built overnight. It's refined through experience. Think of it like a muscle that grows stronger the more you use it. What many don't realize is that ignoring your gut often leads to regret. How many times have you looked back on a poor decision and thought, "I knew deep down this wouldn't work, but I ignored that feeling"? The key is striking a balance, letting your inner judgment guide you while still respecting the role of logic. And speaking of balance, this journey also ties back to how we define happiness. Here's a question that seems so simple, yet stumps so many. What does happiness mean to you? Is it tied to external successes, money, recognition, or relationships? Or is it something deeper, something internal? What most people don't realize is that happiness isn't about what you have, but how you interpret your experiences. Two people can face the same situation. Say, walking in the rain, but while one feels annoyed, the other finds joy in the refreshment. The difference isn't the rain, it's how they frame it. Happiness then becomes a choice, a product of the narratives you create in your mind. But let's get real. Choosing happiness sounds easier than it actually is, doesn't it? It's not about slapping a fake smile onto a bad day. It's about becoming aware of how your mind creates interpretations. The next time you find yourself spiraling into frustration, try pausing for a moment. Ask yourself, is my reaction making this situation better or worse? For example, if you spill coffee on your shirt minutes before a meeting, you could either laugh it off as a small mishap or spiral into anger and ruin your entire mood. The power lies in recognizing when you're feeding negative stories that don't serve you. Here's where it gets interesting. The ultimate goal might not even be to chase happiness, but to let it come to you naturally by embracing life as it is, by letting go of rigid expectations about how things should be or what success must look like. You create space for genuine contentment to arise. Happiness isn't something you hunt down, it's something you uncover when you're present and at peace with yourself. And wouldn't achieving peace of mind require releasing the ego's constant need to control? Most of us are at war with our own minds. Thoughts, race, doubts, surface, and the voice in your head never stops critiquing every decision you make. But here's the catch. Peace of mind doesn't come from silencing your mind. Instead, it comes from learning to detach from it. Simply put, you are not your thoughts. They're just fleeting clouds passing through the vast sky of your consciousness. The problem arises when we identify so strongly with these thoughts that they form the foundation of our fragile personalities. And the more fragile your sense of self, the easier it crumbles under life's pressures. So how do you loosen the grip of the ego? Start by observing it rather than feeding it. The next time you catch yourself spiraling, maybe after hearing criticism at work, pause and ask, is this about me, or is this just my ego reacting? This simple practice separates the moment from your overthinking tendencies. Meditation is a great tool here. By becoming a neutral observer of your mind, you create space between your consciousness and the drama your ego loves to stir up. Over time, this makes your personality less defensive and more resilient because you're no longer clinging to every thought as a personal truth. Interestingly, real peace isn't about stopping the chaos or winning against your ego. It's about letting go of that need to win in the first place. When you detach, you start to notice an authentic stillness inside, an unshakable calmness that doesn't depend on external approval or outcomes. And from that state, caring for yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally becomes less of a chore and more of an intuitive act of self-love. And that's where the role of self-care truly shines. Your mind is deeply connected to your body. It's impossible to have one thriving while the other suffers. If you're constantly caught in cycles of anxiety, stress, and overthinking, it's likely showing up in your physical health too. Ever notice how stress runs down your energy? That's not just in your head. Your body literally burns through resources like a motor running on overdrive. This is why self-care isn't just a luxury. It's the foundation of your peace of mind and overall recovery. Maintaining balance means tending to the physical vessel that carries you through life. With that said, let's talk about hormones. Testosterone, for example, plays a critical role in energy, mood, and cognition. And yet, it's often overlooked in discussions about mental health. Low levels can actually make anxiety and fatigue worse, yet a few tweaks in your lifestyle can make all the difference. Prioritize sleep, strength training, or even look into natural supplements to bring balance back to your system. Small habits like consistent hydration, eating whole foods instead of processed junk, or even something as simple as a brisk walk every day can have a profound impact on your emotional regulation. But self-care goes beyond just physical routines. Think of it as an act of kindness toward yourself, a way of reminding yourself that you're worth the effort. When your body feels strong, your mind becomes more resilient, capable of handling life's complexities with clarity instead of paranoia. Self-care practices amplify your mindfulness, pulling you into the present moment where fulfillment begins. After all, the healthier we are, the better we can appreciate and manage time, which brings us to the deeper philosophy of how we use each moment. Time. It's the only thing we all have, yet no one can truly own it. How often do we let hours, days, or even years slip through our fingers because we're too distracted to notice them? The clock keeps ticking whether we're living consciously or not, which is why understanding the philosophy of time is so essential. Every single moment holds a profound truth. It's fleeting and irreplaceable. Yet, most of us treat time as though we're entitled to an endless supply. We fill it with overthinking, distraction, and stress, forgetting that life's brevity is what makes it beautiful. If you've ever caught yourself saying, "I just want to get through this week," consider this: you're wishing away time you'll never get back. What if instead you cherished even the mundane moments? Washing dishes could become an act of mindfulness, feeling the warm water on your hands. A suburban morning commute could turn into an opportunity to notice the blush of sunrise on the horizon. Rediscovering these small but sensory experiences has a way of slowing time, at least in your perception of it, and grounding you in a deeper understanding of what it means to be alive. The question then becomes, how will you use the moments you have left? Time is both a gift and a challenge, because none of us know how much we're working with. It's easy to fall into the trap of wasting it, scrolling aimlessly, worrying endlessly, or putting off meaningful decisions until the perfect moment. But the truth is, the perfect moment doesn't wait for you. It has to be created. And maybe, just maybe, that begins with embracing the moment right in front of you. So, here's the real question. How long are you willing to let anxiety and overthinking control your life? Imagine what could happen if you stopped chasing perfection and just showed up for each moment. Messy, unpredictable, but real. What would change if you embraced the present with all its imperfections, instead of spinning endless stories in your mind? The answer isn't found in the past or in the uncertain future. It's right here, waiting for you to take action. Now that you've uncovered practical tools to overcome overthinking, whether it's journaling, meditation, self-awareness, or simply letting go, it's time to ask yourself, what's one step you're willing to take today? Could you pause for 5 minutes to just breathe? Reflect on what really matters. Or maybe start noticing how much beauty there is in the small, everyday moments you've been too distracted to see. The truth is, life isn't waiting for you to feel ready. It's happening now. The sooner you act, the closer you get to the peace of mind you deserve. If this resonated with you, then don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and join a community of people dedicated to living more mindfully, authentically, and fully. Your journey doesn't end with this video. It's only just beginning. So, what's stopping you from making today the day you break free? Let's do this together.